Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Alberta News and Views. The Canadian economy starts the year on a rebound with 0.6% growth in January. The rate was higher than forecasted by economists who expected 0.4% growth. Like most things in Canada right now, this is a lie, or it's a cover-up, or it is just smeared and just straight up bad data. What is the truth? Well, the truth is the public sector was the biggest contributor, with the education services leading the way. More specifically, the rebound from the public sector workers' strike in Quebec and elementary and secondary school systems growth. You can go on Stats Canada, you can go on pretty much any economist website and see it. The public sector in Canada is growing exponentially because of the billions of dollars that the government is throwing at it. To fudge the numbers and make you think that you are doing better than you actually are. Like the RCMP report says, if you found out just how broke you are in Canada, you would revolt right now. It's brutal. And the government of Canada, Justin Trudeau, is doing that to make himself look good because he is a disaster. This was him yesterday. Prime Minister Trudeau announces upcoming budget measures for renters. So he has this scheme. He thinks that because you're paying rent, that it should go towards a credit score. That is a social credit system right there. If you don't pay your rent, you don't get credit. We have always had a system like this. It has always been there where you go to the bank to start your mortgage, you can get what's called a rentals referral, a reference. And Boardwalk or whoever it was gives them a printout and a breakdown to show that you're good for it. This is nothing new. This is more Justin Trudeau making it look like he's doing something for the little guy. He's out there fighting for you. He is absolutely unhinged in this interview. In this press conference, I'm just going to show you a little chunk of it. He is losing all credibility, and he is like a fish out of water now, flopping around. It is everybody else's fault. Everybody is a liar, and everybody out there needs to do their part, roll up their sleeves, and work harder because we're Canadians. Listen to this.
Thank you.
Hi there, Thomas Hill from Bloomberg News. Asking rents in Canada increased 10.5% on the previous year in February. Do these measures go far enough to address rental inflation, and have you modelled how much of an impact you expect them to have?
We know that rents have gone up across the country because of a few different factors. First of all, a shortage of housing. A shortage of apartments for rent, a shortage of units available on the market, which of course drives up prices. Which is why over the past year, including by removing the GST on purpose-built rental housing, which has led to many new apartment building projects going up, the Housing Accelerator Fund, which is changing the way municipalities zone and build density, we're investing massive amounts of not just money, but effort and partnerships in increasing supply across the country so there are more units, which will keep prices down. At the same time, we know there's challenges on the supply side as the population of temporary residents in this country has reached 6.5% of our total population, up from around 2 or 3% just 5 or 6 years ago. That's put tremendous pressure on the rental market, and that's why we're turning the dial a little bit on temporary residents, whether it's international students or temporary foreign workers, to make sure that they are a number that can be properly absorbed by our housing stocks. So we're working both on the demand side and on the supply side. But the reality is young people are spending a huge amount of their income on rent. And if you look at someone who pays a $2,000 mortgage, they're getting recognition and credit for that from the bank as part of their credit score. But if you're paying $2,000 a month on rent, that gives you no kudos. It gives you no credit. It gives you no recognition that you are working hard to meet your obligations and pay a sizable sum every month. That's why this change of making sure that the money you pay in rent every month is recognized as part of your reliability, as part of your credit score, will help you eventually unlock homeownership, access a mortgage, access borrowing, and be able to build that future that we know you deserve.
It's a social credit score. That's what this is. It's showing the banks who you are so you can unlock. You can get pre-approved for more money and debt because Canada is broke. Canada, it's so broke. Look at this. This is from the CCPA, Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives. Okay. Every single municipality is looking at ways for them to get money. You can't have a country that is broke, that has a crisis in every sector, bring in 1 million people, and think that it's going to be fine. Those people need money. What is it? The one hotel, the one asylum hotel complex was over $100 million, and that's only one in 1 year. It's unbelievable. A modest proposal, a plan to give municipalities access to personal income taxes. When the government needs money, they're going to tax you. That is the way it goes. You are going to get more taxes in 2024 and 2025 and 2026. They need revenue. Cities lack sufficient revenue to meet increasing service demands due to downloaded costs from higher government levels over the past 3 decades. Additionally, ownership and responsibility for physical infrastructure have shifted towards municipalities in the last half century. This report shows that if the federal government directed the Canadian Revenue Agency, the CRA, to collect municipal personal income taxes, cities could decide to implement a local income tax. A 1% tax on the richest, for example. Of course, they would use that as an example, but we know that won't happen. They're going to raise the taxes on the people that are working, everybody, as many people as they can. This could raise tens of millions of dollars to pay for public services and infrastructure. Author David McDonald estimates how much 34 city governments could raise if they changed any of the top 4 federal income tax brackets. For example, if cities imposed a 1% municipal tax on incomes over $246,000, these are examples of the amounts of revenue that could be raised for the specific city governments in 2025. Vancouver, 48 million, Calgary, 67 million, Winnipeg, 16 million. If cities broaden the tax base by imposing a 1% additional tax on personal income over $56,000 in 2025, these are examples of the amounts they could raise. Toronto, 340 million, Quebec, 60, Halifax, 45. This modernized approach to city revenue raising would give cities discretion over its use and would promote flexibility and political responsibility. Taxes, taxes, taxes. What do you think is going to happen when you tax the most wealthy people in the cities? Well, they're going to move. They're going to move. That's the way it works. And that's what's happening. I can't believe that they think that people will stay and deal with this. One more thing. The carbon tax rebates delayed for all but early tax filers. This is one big thing that nobody ever talks about with this carbon tax rebate. If you don't pay your taxes, or you're late on your taxes, or you get a reassessment on your taxes and you owe money that you don't know of, the government withholds your carbon tax rebate, which is why so many people are saying, well, I didn't get my rebate, because they didn't even know that it was paying for back taxes. Because we have a record amount of people right now in Canada not filing and not paying their taxes because they can't, because they're broke. It's crazy, the reality in Canada right now that is completely ignored and people just don't see it. It's nuts. We have a productivity national emergency right now. We have a revenue emergency right now. That's what that is. So I'm serious. All you're going to see is taxes, taxes, taxes. Back in the day, when the GST was implemented, that was a big deal. They implemented the GST because they needed to dig Canada out of a manufacturing hole. It was something like that. Mulroney was like super unpopular because of that, but he had to do it for Canada. He had to do it for the country itself. So he implemented this thing. And economists said that's the best thing they ever did. Hugely unpopular because everybody is broke and they felt that manufacturing, these big dogs should have been paying their fair share, doing their thing, but no. Taxed all the little guys. And it worked. But it was a really good political wedge. So I believe it was Jean Chrétien actually had a slogan, Axe the Tax. He ran on the platform of getting rid of the GST. Bang gets in there. Do you think he got rid of the GST? No, he did not get rid of the GST because the country needed that revenue. So they scaled back the GST. And then they're like, oh, well, you can scale it back to ease the pressure off people and make them happy. All they did is they just raised like personal income tax brackets and different things like that to make up the void. It is really that simple with budgeting with this country. They need revenue and they need it right now. All these green projects and all this investment and all of this shit, this bullshit that this federal government is doing right now, it's not paying the bills. It's not paying the bills. The reality is oil and gas pays those bills. If we had a responsible government right now, they would be selling LNG and building pipelines for everyone and everyone. Anyone and everyone and everything. Don't care. If they need it and they can afford to buy it, we should be selling it. Because then you can use that revenue for all of these pet projects. But instead, we have a government that is just squeezing the life out of the economy and all of us financially on hopes and dreams in a long run, in 2 generations from now, hoping there's going to be a return. It's going to be devastating because it is already. It is unreal. Wait till we get our economic slowdown. We are in stagflation right now. It's going to get worse. Follow me on Substack and Spotify. All of you out there, like, share, and take care.